to record this. Thank you. So I'll start
Oh, okay.
I'll start the intro over again. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is the Clergy Roundtable. It's really about getting an opportunity to talk with the clergy about anything you have on your mind. And kind of just getting questions answered and things like that. So let's start with our first question. Does anyone have a question? Don't all talk at once. Let's see.
So for those who are not familiar with roundtable discussions, pretty much it's show up and just kind of sit around, chat, kind of live, kind of what's been going on, what's on your heart, what's on your mind. It's an opportunity to sit in front of your people. So with that in mind, just be aware that there's no script for this. There's no lesson plan, but we do like to make ourselves available, and we do like to make those connections. That's kind of just what we do every day. So if anybody has questions or comments or concerns, this is a good time. But I do have a few things that we can chat about on our hour instead of just sitting around if you like. I do have questions.
Yeah,
So,
let's hear him, Carlos. Yeah, let's hear him.
well, one of my questions for Jedi, I try not to use the term Jedi too often because it creates in me this kind of I don't know. I haven't figured it all out yet, but I try not to use the term Jedi too often. And as people, um, we have a spiritual side to things. We all come to the understanding that we're thought, feeling, and will, and in those we can understand our thoughts, our feelings, and our will. And this year, clergy have been working very, very efficiently to be present. And I'm so grateful for those who have taken the time to be present in the temple this year. A lot of people have stepped up, and it creates change. And part of the change that we need to see is that. Can you stop, please? That's really loud. I'm sorry. That's my fault. That's really, really loud. We're chopping apples, and I can hear it right. So part of the change is being able to do this, to be able to take the time for this. So thank you for those who've been filling in and who have been stepping up. And at the same time, the clergy is here to be present as well with one another. We're present with one another anyway. We want to talk about each other's lives, and we want to know about your hair color and your length, and those things matter. They do, because they keep us connected. But when we come together as clergy, it's the idea that the temple was established for three different reasons. Okay, it was established for education, it was established for charity, and it was established for religion. Now, we take care of all three of those as much as possible. We try to keep those in a balance. Part of the balance is the clergy, because that's part of what we were established for. So as we do what we do, understand that the clergy changes as clergy enter. As people come in, different ideas come in different ways. The clergy is about sometimes different ways to do things, different ideas to share the same ideas. So as we do this, have that in mind as well, because I'm not going to be pastor forever. we're not going to have Rosalind, our whole, and everyone who's standing in charge right now. Eventually, we will move on. We will pass. Things will happen. It's so be in the same mind as you're the future. You are what comes up next. You're the one who tells the tales tomorrow. You're the one who will lead the stories, the storytelling. You'll be the one referring to the hero's journey. You'll be the ones encouraging people to take the extra time to take that step to understand your spirituality and where it comes from, and the questions that you do have about your spirituality. And that's what we want to do. So if you can take that time during this hour to give it the time. I'm grateful for Serenity taking time for that meditation, because and in reality, I wouldn't have taken time for it today. Got a lot of things to do. So let's take the time, if we can, let's take a few moments to get into the idea that this is what we're here for. This is the reason why we share, and we're spending this hour. So I'm open the floor up. Anybody have any comments, concerns, questions, anything like that? Feel free to let it flow.
So, hello everyone. Um, this question is not really, sorry, I have medicine in my mouth, so I might not speak very clearly. But I've been at the temple for almost 2 years now, so I've got to know people and feel more comfortable with speaking to everyone, and know a little about the clergy and what you guys are there for. But like, I'm bringing this up for maybe people who are newer. Maybe they don't profit as much about what the clergy do, and how how we can help take down that wall for them to reach out.
Very Kwong, what's the question? What is the clergy? What is the purpose of the clergy?
No. My question was like what we can do, like even if we're not part of the clergy, or for example, members of the clergy, how we can help take down that wall for people newer who don't know people, like as many people as older members, to reach out to the clergy and profit from all the amazing things that you do for the members.
Well, one of the things I might say is being present at the office hours to show how people might engage with clergy, or being a part of the General Assembly of the Clergy when we do have those meetings once a month, to show, or to show kind of what we're doing, and then just share. I talked to Pastor Carlos, or I talked with Master Roz, or I talked with Knight Atticus, or I talked with Knight Serenity about this or about that, or just sharing your own experience with newer members, and also like doing like a warm handoff. Like, for example, if someone's really struggling with something and you think a clergy would be a good resource for them, just, hey, can I introduce you to Master Carlos? Can I introduce you to Knight Serenity? They're members of the clergy and they might be able to help. And then setting up a Discord introduction and then leaving, just saying, hey, I've had a lot of good experience, or I've had a lot of experience, whether good or bad, with the clergy, and I think that you know, they would be a good resource, you know. So it's really just about talking. Um,
Just being present, I think, also in the chats, in the Discord chats, when people are
mhm.
new, and you say there are different possibilities to be of service in the temple. And they usually ask, "Oh, you're a reverend, huh?" You know, and that then gives a good talking subject about what I actually do and what I want to achieve in the temple. So that I think the best explanation you can give about the clergy is us as clergy giving the right example. So that's being there, being present, reaching out. Like Ross said, talk about your experiences. And new people don't always understand the structure of the temple, which is normal because they don't expect a temple. They expect a Jedi academy mostly, and they're usually surprised that it's so well built in different compartments where everyone actually, everyone who comes into the temple and actually wants to be of service to other people can find a place in the temple, whether that is with the clergy or with, like yourself, the education, administration, all these things. You need to be clear to people that what you do. For instance, you have become a member of the education administration. You can talk to people about that. It's like, okay, we have I've just become a member of this group, and I'm gonna make lessons, and hopefully these lessons are so good that they make it to the curriculum. You call it that way, curriculum? Is it
Sure.
called that way, curriculum? Okay, yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah, and yeah, that's what we call it, curriculum. It's same everywhere, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
Does that answer
there's
your
a
question, Kai?
Yeah,
there's a
that I think Graybeard wants to say something.
I would say with my experiences, it's the diverse spirituality of the temple that the clergy really brings to the table. It's we all come from different walks of life, different parts of the world, different beliefs we all grew up and raised with and or changed to. But coming here, it's a great way just to get together with the spirituality of it in general.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually kind of refreshing to see.
I think it's very refreshing that we are in a temple where Jews, Norse pagans, Christians, Muslims, any kind of faith, it doesn't matter. Everyone can be a good Jedi. It doesn't matter what faith you have, aside from believing how to be a Jedi. You also have your own background and your own beliefs, which you don't have to let go, unless, of course, they are an obstruction to you actually being there for other people. Then it might be difficult.
So, Juan, there's a there's a course that I recommend our ministers take some time to take. It's a free course. It's on Coursera. It's called Psychological First Aid.
Yes,
And
I did that. Yes, I did that as an apprentice, and I did that with my first apprentice. Indeed, yeah, yeah.
one of the things in it, one of the it's a course study, and one of the ideas that it has is an emphasis on the callback or the checkup or the update. In ministry, I've found that and we all check on people, we all make sure everybody's okay, but it's that present, hey, it's Tuesday instead of Sunday. How you doing? It's that checkup of hey, so and so Knights member, how are things today? Time check, like how many days are you in it? How many days are you without it? How many days, just the checking on people. It's that checkup in ministry that aids a lot of, and it helps. It sure does help because I do the same thing in ministry that I would for everyone. And I have people who do the same thing for me.
Yes.
So to continue a process of learning and growing is to water seeds and to water
Yes, but it's
sapling.
also a circular process. You help me, I help Kai, Kai helps you again. You know,
It's
we
really
all help
so
Graybeard.
So to answer your question, Quang, for my side, uh, to get the flow going, you have to check up on people again, not just hi, but then that's how I do it. I check on people overs and overs and overs, and I take them off to the side. I send them, private messages, and hey, how's it going? How's it going? I think that really does help with the ministry part of the temple and what we do. And I try to remind people to do that as well, to foster that, to check on people you've checked up on. And I always say as well, check up on your people as often as you can. So it's the same thing, is, check up on your people as often as you can.
Does anyone have any other questions they want to ask? I have a set as well. Someone's furiously typing in the chat, maybe. No. Okay. So we have quite a few clergy here, and I think we asked this question a while ago. But for those of us who are already clergy, let's ask this question. What was your inspiration for joining the clergy? And for those of us who are not clergy, but would like to be, what is your reasoning? Okay.
To be of better service to those around me.
Absolutely. Pastor Carlos?
I would be lying if I said to better the world. I joined clergy because I didn't understand it. And I wanted to understand it. I wanted to smash it because I didn't understand the spiritual part of what we did. And as Jedi, once again, I tried to say that, but as a collective of people on the site, I really wanted to understand what it was that we were doing. So I went down the path to understand what the spiritual side of everything that we did was. That's why I became clergy, was I didn't understand it. And it helped.
Quang, do you have a response? Quang. Response?
Sorry, I was looking up what Pastor Carlos was suggesting, like that online course thingy. Sorry, I didn't get the question.
If you're interested in joining the clergy, what is your inspiration? What is your reasoning?
Currently, well, originally I was interested because I wanted to see, well, not to see, but like
Hi, how are you?
to.
I'm great. How are you? I'm good. What can I get started for you?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So originally I wanted to give back to the temple, like how I received help from the temple when I first joined. But then I decided not saying that I will not in the future, I don't know yet, but through my training, I'm just more focused on my studies because I feel like I haven't done enough. I don't understand enough for me to be in that position where I feel comfortable enough to be part of the clergy yet. So, yeah.
All right. Serenity? What was her reasoning?
To be very honest, my reasoning was as well trying to be of better service in the temple and to add more dimension to the connection with the Force. But I also wanted to know what the fuss was all about. Because when I first came to the temple in 2015, I wasn't convinced that the clergy actually really added anything to the temple. And that was very, how you say that? That wasn't very nice of me. So when I came back, I promised myself to study everything religion related. And yeah, I've always had this urge to help people and to be there for other people and to do it the right way. And I knew that if I wanted to stay at the Temple of the Jedi Order, that I had to do these clergy studies to truly understand what we were doing as a temple. And like I said before, doing the clergy studies has absolutely changed my mind about how I feel about the Force, about the temple, about people in it, everything else. And yeah, I can recommend it to anyone. Just do it. If you feel that pull from the Force that you want to be there for people and you really want to do that in a clerical way, and you're a nerd like me who wants to marry people in a Jedi robe, go for it. Yeah. So yeah, that's my
Thank you.
reasoning. Yeah.
Thank you. And then Tabby, do you have any response? By the way, I'm just like calling on people using those paths.
I think I missed the question. Everyone scoop a cat from downstairs.
Sorry, yeah. So if you are a part of the clergy, what is your inspiration? What is your reason? And if you're interested in joining the clergy, what is your reasoning? The same question, but
Yeah.
worded a little differently.
Yeah, so I just started training with the clergy, and I think my reason for joining is that a lot of people at the temple already come to me for advice and support. And I felt like I wanted to kind of take the next step and actually have official training to be able to be that support, and like feel better about, yeah, feel more prepared to be there for people. I also, well, I guess Greybeard also just started training as well, so now I'm not the only practicing pagan Jedi, but it's kind of cool to have more variety within the clergy, I think. And I think the way that both of us practice Jediism is, although it's really different from each other, it's also in a similar vein that, you know, there isn't a whole lot of other clergy just yet. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, Atticus.
Okay. Hi. I told this story a couple of days ago. I don't remember what the context was, but
I don't remember either. I remember that we had
yeah,
a conversation.
like
It was the
but
picture
yeah,
of you
like
in your robes.
oh yeah. But yeah, like Serenity said, I was a nerd who wanted to marry people in Jedi robes. And I figured if I was going to do that, I should, um actually look at how Jediism was used as a religion. And I was resistant to that for so long because I had to change my conception of what I thought a religion was. But that's another long story, and that has a lot to do with my clerical journey too. So yeah, you know, my when I got to TotJO, it was for the purpose of eventually joining the clergy. And I think that guided the way I did the IP. I think that guided who I sought out as a TM. My training master was in the clergy and in the synod, and his training master was the pastor. So, came by it honestly that way, I guess. But I think that's all I got.
Mm. Yeah. All right. Let me make sure I don't skip anyone. Zero, you have anything you want to share in response? I know you shared a little bit.
Well, most of you know that I went to seminary when the government was going to pay for it. Wanted to keep learning and didn't know what I wanted to do. So I got heavily into religion. I'm not clergy at TotJO. Mainly because I wanted my focus to be on training apprentices.
Mm-hmm.
And when I graduated from seminary, it kind of broke my spirituality. So I try real hard not to dive too into the educational side of religion anymore. I have a faith. I know what I believe, but it's mine. It's personal. And writing sermons and sharing that with everybody is just not my thing anymore. My thing is teaching people about themselves. My newest apprentice, Calandry, me and her were up till I think 3 a.m. last night. 2:30, 3 o'clock, just back and forth, talking about Epictetus and all the future lessons she's got coming and where she's at in her life. And for me, that's why I'm here. The clergy, as great of a thing as it is, I love that we have it. I think it's one of the best tools in any Jedi space out there. It's just not my thing. Not here.
Rebecca.
Hey, Master Ross. I'm just kind of here to. Can you hear me, Master Ross?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. You called my name, right?
You did. I wanted to see if you had any response to the question.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you waited till I got done with the Taco Bell drive-thru.
Yeah.
I'm trying to multitask. I guess my question too is I have a lot of questions. And I have a lot of things I need to figure out.
Okay.
And I'm not going to go in because my dogs are going to bark at me. Sit here on my
Okay.
little group. But like, how do you? Because I've been into Jediism as a lifestyle for like a long time before I even found TotJO or IJF. But as a religion, it's something I'm still really trying to figure out because I was raised like really strict Christian and I went to a Christian college. And then like I love nature. I was a park ranger in college. So then I did like I practiced Wicca for a while. And and now I'm looking now Jediism as a religion is kind of calling me like, how in the world do you combine your background with Christianity and God and loving Mother Nature and the Force? How in the world do you finally get a really clear picture where it just makes sense? Like where you can, because and I'm also Scandinavian, so like I feel drawn at least to that stuff. I don't practice it as a religion, but like I honor my heritage in a way. So yeah, I don't know who could help me make sense of it.
Well, it'll take you a while. and it'll grow, it'll change, it'll grow. Because Jediism is not dogmatic. We don't have these like hard and fast rules. Even if we have a doctrine, it's not like you must, you must, you should. We don't have commandments. Reconciling your traditional faith with Jediism. I mean, for me, it took me 13 years, and I'm still kind of fine tuning it. And I've had like several crises of faith, and several like, I'm not gonna be here, I'm gonna be here full time, and like, so it'll take a while. And it's a journey.
Okay.
I do like this question, but I want to make sure I get to Tragamite first before we start like delving into that question first. Tragamite, tell us, if you're interested in joining the clergy, what is your inspiration?
Some of you know I have my own website out there. The design behind it was a result of my search for a Jedi to wed my wife and me. That there wasn't something that was readily available or easily accessed, at least in my area, that I could find. And being that both Tabitha and I were pursuing Jedi as a spiritual philosophy, we kind of thought that we could provide it. So we set up our site to do that. And it's expanded beyond that, but that was the initial design of what we were trying to do by setting up what we've got going on. And so, I mean, I did have an interest early on here at TotJO about the clergy and getting those, what I guess you would call them seminary lessons, the religious lessons, the religious aspect of it, to help facilitate the rituals that would come as being what I call the emissary of the Force, rather than clergy. But I mean, that's as a speaker for the Force that you would pursue that. So that's my inspiration to pursue such a thing.
Okay, Glaver, I think you had a comment you wanted to make on maybe sailing west question.
Yeah, so when it comes to reconciling your own faith with that of Jediism, I maybe an unpopular opinion, but a religion is based on someone else's experiences, as opposed to a spirituality is an individual search for the divine. So coming to the Jedi Temple is more of a search for me getting to know who I am better and my faith better by using lessons I never would have thought of.
Thank you. I love your answer, and that really helps clear things up a lot. So thank you. Because you're still a practicing pagan?
Yes, I am. Active duty military too.
Yeah. So what do you consider Jedi your religion or your spirituality, is what you're saying?
So it all falls in together with my spirituality.
Okay.
So I'm a Jedi here, but so my faith is still Norse paganism, or Northern tradition shamanism, if you read my posts. But yeah, still am a Jedi in that aspect. Because even if you read the canon, the Jedi came from all across the universe. They all didn't believe the same thing. So,
right. So it's okay to still have other religion and be clergy with the Jedi, right?
I think that's a really interesting approach because, like, while Graybeard and I have similar beliefs in a lot of areas, I don't think that I could be a practicing pagan without Jediism, that they're the same thing for me. So they aren't separate. Like, I'll call myself a pagan Jedi because of the way that I practice Jediism, but it's not a separate thing for me. I don't have one without the other. So it's my religion and my spirituality.
Right on, right on. One of the ideas that I like to share with other ministers when we have the time is to understand that there are a sense of different authorities that are out there. Religion can be an authority, rules, laws. There are certain authorities out there that there are limits that we have when we first begin. Part of growing, part of development is getting past the authority without needing it anymore. Part of development is to be able to get past certain points of ideas, religions, gods, ways, to get to something further. One of the things I like to share with people in actual confident conversations, I guess you will, is to remind everyone that if it's the force that connects every living thing, then everything that you do is somehow living. We are all connected as living things to the living things, and it needs its space for the understanding. But I hope that as we do what we do, that we can understand that there are things that we know that we have to move past. There are things that we have to unlearn to get further. Part of our spirituality is learning those things that we have to get beyond. There are things that we can get beyond. And that's kind of the idea in the spirituality, is that we kind of, I don't understand everything. I'll tell you straight up, I don't understand all of it. I don't know how the force gives us that little ping that everything is connected, and we think it's coincidence, but we notice that everything is connected somehow, some way, but we don't know how. So the idea is that we share that connection, even in our religion, even in our music, even in our studies, in our grammar, in everything that we do, every living part of us. So as we do these studies, as you do, I like to talk to people and challenge them that what you know, if you wrote a book about what you know right now about your religion, whatever you call your religion, write it down. Because if you want to unlearn a few things, it's in what you know right now. So as a Jedi, if we can grasp that concept that it's what we know, we have to move past. It has to grow, it has to develop. It's us that develops it, or it's time to develop it, or it's our mentors that help us develop it, or it's experience that helps us develop it. But we got to develop it, or it stays stagnant, or it stays the same. So what we know now hopefully changes. So the idea of our spirituality is that we understand present moment what our spirituality is, so we can move past it. Because what's past it is kind of our main goal, is the force. What's past, what binds us, is the force. So that's kind of what we tried to do as a temple, is we try to remind one another of these things. We have to come through gates. We have to come through certain collective gates. So it's good. It is very good that we understand our own cultures, where we come from, what we believe. This is good, because that understands who we are. It's part of us. But that's a part of us that, if we're developing ourselves, if we're developing our spirituality, it's gonna change. So my encouragement for all of us in what we do here is to understand that that's what we try to do. Try to develop what we know.
Thank you, Pastor Carlos. That really makes a lot of sense. And I think that's one of the main things that really draws a lot of people like me to Jediism, is that belief of the force and all living things, and then having to unpack a bunch of different belief systems. Like that makes sense that we're allowed to do that, and we're given the time to do that here to figure out what we really believe. So thank you.
Anybody else have any comments they want to make on this particular question?
I do.
Oh, yep, Zero.
Specifically addressing Rebecca's question. Jediism can't be accepting of everyone if it's forced to, how do I want to say it? It can't be accepting of everyone if it's forced to assign labels. And you see a lot of Christian Jedi and pagan Jedi and Jewish Jedi. And at TotJO, we need to focus on just being Jedi. What you do elsewhere is what you do elsewhere.
Why is that though? Do you think, Zero?
It's because if you start throwing extra labels, then you start dividing people.
And what happens in division?
And we don't want to have a clique of just the Christian Jedi who train over here and just the Jewish Jedi who train over here. We want to all be together, regardless of your background, regardless of your history, regardless of your race, regardless of your gender. We want to be together, and we want to train together, and we want to learn from each other. And that can't happen if we start excluding or labeling other pieces of it. If that makes sense.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I agree with you. I think there's nothing more decisive than putting something in front of Jedi.
I mean, you'll often see me use the phrase gray Jedi, but to me, that just encompasses all Jedi, because I don't think non-gray Jedi can exist. I think we're all too human and too flawed, and that's just a me thing.
Oh,
but it's not that I see myself as different than any of you others. It's just an acknowledgement to myself that
Yeah, but it's still a
I'm
Jedi.
human.
I mean, if you're a gray Jedi or a purple Jedi or a Jedi or a Christian Jedi or a Norse pagan Jedi or a Jewish Jedi, the main factor is that you're a Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
There's an old statement about, I think it's in a Kung Fu movie where Bruce Lee points to the moon. He says that don't look at the finger or you'll miss the moon. It's kind of the idea with the Force, is that you have so many different mentors, so many different people, so many people at different levels of life, different levels of motion, and they all point to the Force. And the idea for clergy is to yoke with those of like mind. It's not a rocket science, but I mean, you don't go to people who don't know peace and ask them, what does peace feel like? You don't go asking someone who's never given forgiveness, who never has taken the time for forgiveness, ask them how forgiveness feels. These are things in the spiritual part that we go through, that we make ourselves a little bit vulnerable, but it's the idea that we're not alone, that we go through the development the same way. It hurts my feelings when I get hurt. I don't know, that's how we all are. One of the big things, and part of what we do is to come together and to share those things. But there are things that we do come together and we share. And we do solidly believe certain things together, like whether we understand it or not. We all believe that meditation is good, contemplation is good. We even got it on a part of our doctrine as a reminder that we all know that we have a care for one another somehow, some way, and that's exhausting after a while. It exhausts after a while. It has limits. We know these things. We've taken time to understand these. So these are the things that we come together for. One of the biggest things in clergy, I think I want everyone to understand, is something that my mentor taught me as clergy, as Jedi clergy, and is that everybody hurts. Everybody goes through something. Today, everybody is in some form of level of their path, of their life, of their spiritual journey, of their thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and they're hurt. I am. I would be lying if I said I didn't, and that I was perfect. This is the reality of the ordinary life. And this is the part that we share with one another, is we understand these basic things. And there's more than one way to understand these things. So as we do this, there are things that we do come together as and under. There are some levels that we do take time for that are worth it. So I want to recommend that you give clergy the space, because it's a weird progression to go from a knight to clergy. It's almost a natural flow. I mean, to be honest, but that's to each their own. Some people, they have an entirely different process, but I've seen that process go. I've seen people come to the understanding that once they figure out that, they get the knighthood and they try to figure a few things out on their own, and they have good mentors. It's like, well, the spiritual side of me now is the moment that needs to be taken care of. So that's what we try to do. We have basic courses. Don't get me wrong. We have some basic courses that we study, and it'll get better as we go along. We'll get more people to write more stuff, and we'll get more people to share, and things are growing. We got one of our reverends who's in charge of the seminary. So it's we just keep going forward.
We've got about like 2 minutes left. Any of y'all want to throw in some closing comments before I stop recording?
That was my closing comment.
Anyone else? Yes.
Got him.
Well, I would advise anyone who feels the pull to the force to at least consider it, becoming a clergy member, especially if you want to be of service. It's a wonderful way of being there for people.
Thank you for everyone who joined us. And, it's wonderful to see all the different people. And so that was great. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. If anyone else has anything, I'd like to add something before we all go. Since I got you all here and I'm pastor, I'm gonna pull a pastor card real quick. I'm gonna give you a few things to share, just to share. It's a clergy roundtable kind of thing. It's clergy oriented. So here's something to share with everybody for the circle. There's no such thing as a bad person, only people who suffer. They need to be cared for, not punished. This type of idea changes people's lives. When I was given this idea, it changed me. Every time I take the time to meditate on this and to contemplate this, I appreciate it. There's no such thing as a bad person, only a suffering person. Heroism is necessary, but don't try to strive to be a hero. Don't be a martyr. It's not the point. Just rise as the responsibilities come. The hero answers the call to the adventures. Don't make the call. You're present. Don't try as there it is again, as Jedi, but as we do what we do, and as we have our creeds and our doctrine and what we do, and when we do our reflections, don't race the conflict. I encourage you not to. Be ready and prepared. It helps. I'm a go-getter. I'm a doer. I'm a person of action. I take charge. I do things. And this idea changed my life to not seek out things. It's just one of those things that helps to understand what we're doing here. Don't go looking. It's just an encouragement. If this is just moral encouragement to everyone here, there's plenty of things that are going to come our way that are going to need our help. Don't go looking for problems. Don't go poking people. Don't go causing trouble. You know what I mean? This is just for the climate that we're living in right now. Help one another. If you think it's help, then it's probably help. If you sit there and you think so-and-so needs help, then they probably need help. I said, don't go looking for conflict, but there's plenty of people who need help directly. I can sit and think right now of 2 people directly in my path who could use some assistance, some form of resource that's available right now, that there's no connection right there. Take the time for that. Help one another. And remember, no matter how big and powerful you are, there's always a bigger fish. So there's no such thing as a bad person. There's only suffering people. Heroism is necessary, but don't try to be Superman all the time. Help one another. And no matter how much you think, there's always a bigger fish. Try to stay with those ideas in mind, because basically times are tough. Check on each other. Make sure everybody's okay. We're not alone. So you got the 5-minute soapbox there, but keep that in mind, because that's really what we do. That's really what we take the time for. I can't boil it down to potatoes and carrots any more than that. So that's the meat, potatoes, and carrots. That's the whole stew right there, if you think about it. Just take the time to understand all these things. Every clergy member is not a paid psychiatrist. We don't do that. We are volunteers. What we do is on a volunteer basis. We care, and we have limits. So just understand that if anytime you come to the realization that you may need therapy, by all means, take it. Take the opportunity to seek therapy out. There's amazing things out there, and it's in form of therapy. It's amazing what therapy can do for people, and how much it can release, and how much it helps our thoughts, our feeling, and our will. So if you need therapy, by all means, take it. But as far as the official capacity of what we do here, this is what we do. We just share with one another what we do. So we're always available. I'm grateful for Discord. I'm grateful for those who are stepping in. Thank you all so much for this opportunity. If you have any more questions, I can be available on Discord. You can get anybody on Discord pretty much. You can PM them, DM them. Thank you for the space. Appreciate it. Thank you, Tavi, for putting all this together. And thank you, Rosalyn, for getting us all here.